a children's pastor, as you probably caught up with if you don't know me. And Philippa, the MC, is also children's pastor. She's my wife. Isn't that great? Fantastic. I have a photo of Pip on my phone. You know, like the screensaver, you know, background thing. It's a photo of Pip on my phone, and that's good, eh? Husbands, you should take note of that. Well, actually, Pip put the photo on my phone. And, well, yeah. I don't really know how to change it, so... No, look, I love it. I love it, and I love Pip, and it's wonderful. She's a great MC, isn't she? Wonderful how the storm was back. Now, how many stormers have we got here? Storm campers? Oh, look at this. Woo! Way to go. Way to go. Just around here mostly. That's good. That's good to know. And you're the brave ones that have come out. You're the ones who have only had a few hours sleep, but you got up there. That's wonderful. You came along. Well done. Well done. Well, look, I'm glad you're here today. Really glad you're here today. Whether you've been coming to church for years, or whether you've just been coming to church for a little while, or maybe even if this is your first day, there is something in this message for you today. There's something in it for you. Something to benefit you. All right, now, actually, I need a bit of hand. Liddy Rose, would you just come up on stage for a second? I just need two hands. I've only got one hand at the moment. So. Would you take that out of the bag, please? Maybe I'll hold the bag. Oh, cool. All right. So just put it like that. Thank you. You can go and sit down now. Oh, she wanted to open the box. No, that's all right. We'll just leave it like that. Yeah. Cool. She wanted to get right into it. Okay. Last Sunday was Easter Sunday, and of course the tradition, maybe in your family, to give chocolate Easter eggs. And so I was shot down to the local store and looked for something to buy, to purchase. And wow, there were so many eggs, so many chocolate eggs, so many chocolate bunnies, and it was just really hard to choose which one. And so I ended up with that one. But I saw this huge egg. It was like a kilogram of chocolate. It was huge. It was like 3 times the size of that one, or maybe more. Absolutely huge. But anyway, I settled on that one. Now, I want to, how about, because you storm campers have been, you know, you've had very little sleep, you've come all the way to church when you didn't really feel like it, probably. So I'm going to give this to a storm camp. Someone's been to storm camp that loves chocolate. Okay, so don't put your hand up if you don't like chocolate, but you went to storm camp and you really like chocolate. So we've got a few of you who really like chocolate. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll give it to you, Emma. All right. Emma's got a chocolate egg. Now, Emma, I just want to know how you're feeling right now about. I know you're tired and all that, but I've given you this chocolate egg. All right. It's a big one. It's huge. All right. How do you feel right now?
Happy.
You feel happy. All right. That's great. Any other feelings or emotions?
Excited.
You're excited. All right. So why are you excited about this egg?
Because no one else has it.
No one else has it. I've just noticed my daughter's here. Hi, Rachel. I thought you were going to be sleeping in. No one else has it. You're excited. Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, I know. Did you go to Hurricanes game? No, you were at school game. Yeah, right. Did your family go to the Hurricanes game? No? Okay. Oh, it's just one thing, Emma. I want you to give that egg away. I just want you to give it to somebody. Well, no, if you want to. So Emma, I want to tell me now, please, how you're feeling now.
Can I think about it?
Well, can you think very, very quickly, like in 2 seconds? How are you feeling right now?
I still feel good.
You still feel good? Oh, okay. Well, your face tells a different story, but that's okay. Well, anyway, I'll leave that for you to decide. Your decision. So I'll just leave Emma to think about that one. Now, I was thinking about this message and just really think about how I had the broad idea of what to speak about, but then I just didn't really have the focus of what to hone in on. And because you don't have much time, we needed to hone in on something. And I woke up one morning. It's good to wake up. I wake up most mornings. Well, I wake up every morning. That's good. And I woke up that morning, and this phrase came into my mind. It is more blessed to give than to receive. It is more blessed to give than to receive. And I thought, okay, yeah, I think I've probably read that somewhere, or I've heard it somewhere, and maybe a preacher was talking about it. It rang a bell. I thought about it a bit more, and I thought, that's something that maybe Jesus would say, or maybe Paul, the great missionary Paul, who went around starting all churches all around that area. So I looked it up, got the Bible app out, and sure enough, came up straight away, and I discovered that it was actually something that Jesus said. But it was also something that Paul said. They both said it. Well, Paul was quoting Jesus. And it's not recorded in the usual place where you hear about what Jesus is saying. It's in another place in the Bible, in the book called Acts, or a part of the Bible called Acts. And Paul is saying goodbye to the leaders of a church that he had started. And he spent 3 years there, and he just was really, he knew that he wasn't going to come back to see them again. So it was quite a heartfelt farewell, and they were all crying and all that sort of thing. But he said that to them at that time. So if we could bring that up on the screen, that'd be great. And if you've got another way of looking at it, maybe you want to do that as well. So Acts chapter 20, verse 33 to 35. So this is Paul, the great missionary, speaking. I have never coveted anyone's silver or gold or fine clothes. You know that these hands of mine have worked to supply my own needs and even the needs of those who were with me. Here comes the punchline. And I have been a constant example of how you can help those in need by working hard. You should remember the words of the Lord Jesus, and here it is, quoting Jesus. It is more blessed to give than to receive. It is more blessed to give than to receive. So I started thinking about this, and I was thinking, well, wait a minute. It is really cool to receive. It is really great to receive. I mean, Emma received that egg. She was happy. She was excited. She really liked getting that chocolate Easter egg. And we all like getting things, don't we? I mean, it's great having a birthday or Christmas and getting presents. It's wonderful. And other times. And it's a real blessing. It is. It's a real blessing to receive things. I mean, Pip and I have been blessed out of our boots by the generosity of people over the years who have just, given things when we needed them. Just when we needed them. And people being generous. And some of the gifts we have no idea who gave them to us. I mean, if someone came along with the keys to a new car and said, hey, here's a car for you. I mean, you'd be excited. You'd be over the moon, wouldn't you? Wow, yes, a new car. Or even a good second-hand car. Yes, it'd be great. You'd be excited. So, now wait a minute. It's more blessed to give than to receive. Now wait a minute. There's a real blessing in receiving. So I started thinking about this. And Jesus, I guess, is not saying there's no blessing with receiving. Of course there's a blessing with receiving, but he's saying there's more of a blessing when you give than when you receive. So I want us to look at this a bit longer, investigate this a bit more, and I've been sort of just wrestling with this a little bit and trying to figure this out. Because, I mean, I've heard people say, and I've probably thought along these lines as well in the past. How can I give and save, for Storm Camp or for Get Smart or for some other camp coming up? How can I buy new clothes if I give? How can I go on that overseas holiday if I give? How can I buy that good second-hand car if I give? These are real questions that go through our minds, real questions that people have. So I want us to try and figure out, why might it be more of a blessing to give than to receive? Why is it more blessed to give than to receive? And to help us answer that question this morning, I want us to look at an encounter that Jesus had with a man. And we find that story in Luke chapter 19, verse 1 to 10. Now, Luke, as some of you know, was a doctor. And he was very particular about writing down details, very particular about finding out, doing the research and finding out that things were actually true and how they were true. Now, Luke was not with Jesus when Jesus was going around and is, healing people and teaching people and that sort of thing. But what he did the research. He talked to people who were actually there. He talked to people who were eyewitnesses. And he went and he got the stories, he wrote them down, he got what Jesus had said, quoted from these people, wrote it down, because he was writing an account. He was a bit of a historian. He was writing this historical account of what Jesus did and said, and he was writing it for a distinguished person at that time. And he wanted to get it right and get it accurate. So he was writing this account. He also wrote the one that we just read in Acts. That was his second volume, about how Paul travelled around and started churches all over the place and what happened there. Now, in that case, Luke actually travelled with Paul some of the way on some of those journeys, so he had a first-hand experience. But for the other bits of information, he talked to people who had been with Paul. So he was very particular about getting things right. And interestingly, this story here in Luke is the only place that you find this story in the Bible. So let's begin to read this. Let's begin to investigate this. So verse 1 there, Jesus entered Jericho and made his way through the town. Okay, Jesus had every intention to pass through Jericho. Where was he going? He was on his way to Jerusalem. And that was his plan, that was his focus. That was going to be the last time he would get to Jerusalem. He had his mind fixed on that. Now, why was he going through Jericho? Well, Jericho was a great stopping off point to get to Jerusalem. It was only 25 kilometres away, probably like Fielding is from here, about that distance. And it was a great place to stop for a drink, maybe a cup of coffee, have lunch there, and then, in the afternoon, go on to Jerusalem. Well, of course, in those days, no cars or buses or trains, anything like that. You had to walk. So it was a 4-hour walk to get from Jericho to Jerusalem. Okay, a good afternoon's walk. So Jericho was a good stopping off point. Now, Jericho is an interesting place. It's a very low place. Very low. It's below sea level. 258 metres below sea level. Get that, the sea's here, Jericho's there. Now, to us in New Zealand, that's kind of, that sounds a bit dangerous, You got the sea above the city, What happens if there's a big wave, But fortunately, there's some mountains between the sea and Jericho. Stops the water coming in. Well, Jericho, okay, a pretty dry place. Maybe you've got this picture in your mind about a fairly dry place. All those places in Israel are pretty dry. It only rains 4 months of the year. No, I think it's December through to March. Only 4 months. The other 8 months is absolutely dry. No rain at all. No rain for 8 months. Jay, just think about that for a moment. Look, eight days without rain in Palms North, we're saying, yes, summer has arrived. Isn't it a great summer we're having? 8 days without rain. Whoa, we think it's Christmas. What about 8 weeks in Palmerston North without rain? 8 weeks without rain. Man, the farmers are having to bring in feed. There's no grass growing. The gardeners are crying out. They can't water their gardens. The flowers are dying. Man, 8 weeks without... It'd be a national emergency if there's 8 weeks without rain, yeah. But 8 months, and that's just not once or twice, once in a while, it's every year, 8 months without rain. Of course, so every year there's a drought. Did I say that Jericho? No, I didn't. Jericho is still populated today, has a population of about 20,000 people. Back then, when Jesus passed through, it probably had a similar population of about 20,000 people. I guess, I don't know, maybe it's the same size as Fielding. And, but it was called, and get this, it was called the city of palm trees. Okay, a drought every year, 8 months of no rain, and it's called the city of palm trees. How does that work? Well, it is an oasis in the desert. It has its own water supply. It has springs that water the whole area. The ground is quite lush, and crops grow really well. Fruit trees grow really well. There's a lot of produce grown around there. These springs water all the land. Fantastic. Wonderful. And one particular fruit tree is the sycamore fig tree. Sycamore fig tree has big branches that spread out, some of them quite low. Just the thing for climbing. If you're into climbing, just the thing. A great tree to climb. All right, so there we go. Jesus came into Jericho. Verse 2. There was a man there named Zacchaeus. Well, Zacchaeus, Zach, or however you want to refer to him. I'll probably use one of those three this morning. So there was a man there named Zacchaeus. He was the chief tax collector in the region. He was the chief tax collector in the region. Okay, so what's this all about? Well, the Romans had invaded Israel. They had conquered the land, as they did with so many countries around that area. And they said, right, okay, now for us to build our nice roads, our straight roads that don't have any bends in them, and for us to pay our soldiers, we're going to impose a tax on the people. Okay, you have to pay us a tax, and then it'll be all sweet. You pay your taxes, it'll be all sweet, you live in peace, and you can just get on with your own business. And they thought, well, okay, who better to collect this tax for us, because we really haven't got the manpower, we've just got a few soldiers here to keep the peace. Who better than the local people? They know the language, they know the customs, they know all about this culture. Well, we'll just get the local people to do that, and that's what they did. And so they got tax collectors to collect this tax for them, and overseeing the tax collectors was a chief tax collector. And this happened to be Zacchaeus in this region. Now, so how did the system work? Well, the tax collectors, they collected money off people who were trading goods, and they took their cut, and they gave the money to Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus passed it on to the Romans, Roman authorities. I mean, the Romans didn't want all these people giving them little bits of money. They just wanted one big sum of money each month. All right? I don't know how much it would have been, but they just wanted one big sum. So they said, right, Zacchaeus, you look after all these guys. You give us one big sum, and it'll be sweet. Well, Zacchaeus took his cut as well, and probably double what he should have taken. And he became very, very rich. Reading that in verse 2, is it? He had become very rich. Now, Jericho was, like I said, was a stopping off point, but also a great stopping off point for traders. Traders from the north and Syria came down through Jericho and down into Egypt and vice versa. Also, because they grew a lot of produce, they would send that off to Jerusalem and other places. So it was a very busy town, very busy region, and a great place, like the Romans figured out, a great place to put a tax on goods that were being traded and transported. And that's what they did. Zacchaeus was the benefit of that. All right, verse 3. He tried to get a look at Jesus. He tried to get a look at Jesus, but he was too short to see over the crowd. Okay, let's just think about this for a moment. He tried to get a look at Jesus. Why was he there? Why was he there in the first place? Why was If there's a crowd, obviously there's a whole lot of other people there too. Why were they there? Well, to get a look at Jesus, I guess. But why? Well, Jesus had healed a blind man in Jericho, at least one, maybe more. And they may have heard about Jesus raising a man called Lazarus from the dead. And that happened fairly recently. So, I mean, if you heard about someone doing that, you'll be pretty keen to go and see them, wouldn't you? You know, if someone came to Palmerston North, someone famous came to Palmerston North, I don't know, Justin Bieber or Dan Carter or the Pope, you know, you'd be pretty keen to go and check them out, you know, down in the square. Yeah, hey, have you heard the Pope's coming to Palmerston North? Well, if Jesus was coming to Palmerston North, I know I'll be down there trying to get a glimpse. Now, you see, with this tax system, you know, the tax collectors were really happy, weren't they? They were making lots of money. The Romans were happy. They were getting the taxes collected. Who wasn't happy? Who wasn't happy? The people. The people paying the taxes, they weren't happy. So here's Zacchaeus, you know, he's coming along to get a glimpse of Jesus, got this crowd all around. Do you think the crowd, seeing him, would say, "Oh, Zacchaeus, come through to the front row. Take my place in the front row. I'll just move back so you can have the pride of place, so you can see Jesus"? Do you think they would be saying that? No. They hated these tax collectors. They thought they were the scum of the earth. They considered them to be traitors, selling out. You know, they sold us out to the Romans. Man, they are the pits. So they wouldn't be doing, "Oh, Zacchaeus, come through." No, they'll be doing this. You know, they'll be making sure he doesn't get through and have a good glimpse, you know. So whether you're short or medium height or whatever, there's no way you could actually see 2 or 3 rows back what was going on. So what did Zacchaeus do? Let's have a look. Verse 4, so he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree. Yeah, there was lots of those around because of the springs, lots of water, beside the road. For Jesus was going to pass that way. Well, that's a sensible thing to do. Get up high, you can see. So he was determined. He was determined to check out Jesus. He wasn't going to be put off by people crowding him out like that. So I wonder what was going through Zacchaeus' mind. You know, he was determined. Obviously, something was happening. I think something was happening with him. You know, he wanted a glimpse of Jesus. He wanted to you know, he wasn't put off by not being able to get through the crowd. He did something that no one else had done. He ran up, climbed the tree, you know. No one else did that. He was determined. I think he was starting to think. Maybe he was thinking, what is life all about? You know, I've got very, very rich. I've got all these possessions, but I don't feel satisfied. I don't feel like, you know, what's life all about? I don't feel like I'm actually achieving anything, you know. You know, I've reached my goal of being very rich, but it just feels empty, you know. It doesn't feel good at all. I don't feel happy or excited at all. Maybe these thoughts were going through his mind. He heard some things about Jesus, and he wanted to, maybe Jesus had the answers, and he wanted to find out. Well, you know, Jesus had probably been to Jericho before. Well, he had been to Jericho before. And maybe he stayed there, you know, with friends. And he probably got to know a few people there. And no doubt, somewhere along the lines, somewhere in the conversation, the Zacchaeus would have come up. You know, maybe they were out in the marketplace one time and someone said, hey, Jesus, see that guy over there? That's Zacchaeus, the chief tax collector. Man, he's a traitor. Watch out for him. You know, so Jesus probably knew who Zacchaeus was. Let's read on. So he ran ahead, verse 5. When Jesus came by, he looked up at Zacchaeus and called him by name. Zacchaeus, he said, quick, come down. I must be a guest in your home today. I must be a guest in your home today. Talk about inviting yourself. Yeah, cool. Well, what was Zacchaeus' reaction to that? Zacchaeus quickly climbed down and took Jesus to his house. In great, get this, in great excitement and joy. He was excited, yeah. He was happy and excited because Jesus was going to come to his place. Well, how about that? Probably no one came to his place, but Jesus saw him, called him by name and said, hey, I'm going to come to your place. Now, okay, maybe Zacchaeus asked someone to run home to tell his wife, Jesus is coming. Or, if they had cell phones in those days, he would have got out his cell phone, press fast ring or whatever you call it, speed dial, that's the one, thank you. Called his wife, honey, I'm going to have a guest for dinner, and I think he's got about 12 other men with him as well. And you imagine what she would say. But honey, you never invite anyone over. Oh, well, actually, he invited himself, really. And, well, who is it? Oh, it's Jesus. You can just sort of imagine the silence on the phone. Maybe the coffee cup dropping, smashing on the floor, and then the mad panic of getting the house ready. Jesus coming to his house. Okay, so Zacchaeus was very excited, and I would be too. But get this, verse 7. But the people were displeased. The people were annoyed. They were really annoyed. He has gone to be the guest of a notorious sinner, they grumbled. So get this. Jesus is saying to Zacchaeus, come, I'm going to be at your house. And the people are saying, what's going on here? Doesn't Jesus know who that guy is? Doesn't Jesus know he's a traitor? Doesn't Jesus know that he's the worst sinner ever? If there's a worse sinner in Israel, it's that guy there. Man, he rips us off. There's no way. And I thought Jesus was like a righteous person. I thought he had morals. I thought he had principles. What's he doing? Going to that guy's house. So the people were really, really annoyed. And I'm sure a lot of them just went home. Oh, that's terrible. I'm not going to have anything to do with Jesus again. And they grumbled and went off. I was wondering what Jesus was thinking. I was wondering what and I don't know. I had this kind of funny sense of humour, and I think Jesus probably had a smirk on his face. I think he's probably thought, I can see the big picture, but you guys can't. I don't think that was planned, but I think Jesus took the opportunity of Zacchaeus being there and saying, look, I'm going to come to your place. Because he knew that would be such an unpopular thing with the crowd. Such an unpopular thing. But he didn't worry about that. He wanted to make a point. And he said, yeah, Zacchaeus, you come to your place. So he came and they chatted, no doubt. I mean, if someone comes to your place, you sort of chat away, don't you? And what do they chat about? I don't know. They chatted about family probably, and maybe about sport, Hurricanes, I guess, and something like that. Doing very well, go the Hurricanes, but probably, because I think Zacchaeus had in his mind about, what's life all about. They probably talked about, the meaning of life. What is it all about? I'm sure they did. And then out of the blue, verse 8 there. Let's have a look at that. Out of the blue. Meanwhile, Zacchaeus stood before the Lord and said, I will give half my wealth to the poor, Lord, and if I have cheated people on their taxes, I will give them back 4 times as much. Whoa. So he gets up in the middle of the room there and says, I'm going to give half my fortune to the poor. Just give it away. And if I've cheated anybody, I'm going to pay them back 4 times. Jesus didn't ask them to do that. Jesus didn't tell them to do that. Jesus didn't sort of hint at it. Just out of the blue, He did it. He got up and said that's what he's going to do. So what was happening? What was happening to Zacchaeus? Well, I think there was a change happening inside of him. Something was shifting inside of him. He was shifting from someone who was wanting to get, wanting to receive, to someone who was wanting to give. There was a motivation. There was something happening inside him that caused him to make that shift. And I just imagine Jesus just sitting there thinking, wow, this is absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So Zacchaeus was making this shift. And I can just imagine, now, maybe you could imagine yourself there with Jesus. Come on, if you were there in person with Jesus, how would you feel? You know, chatting away. And you just realise Jesus is, man, he's a real person. He just chats about everyday things. Wow. And as I can imagine, as Zacchaeus was chatting to him, talking with him, I could just imagine him just feeling so loved and so accepted. You know, that was just radiating out from Jesus. Just radiating out. And I can imagine him thinking and thinking, wow, this is the first time in my life that I feel that someone likes me, that they love me, and they accept me. He really felt the acceptance of Jesus. And I wonder about you and I. Do we really feel the acceptance? Maybe we don't. Maybe there are things that have happened to us. Maybe there are things that we're experiencing that we don't really feel accepted. Maybe not accepted by our friends or family. But there is someone who loves you and accepts you just the way you are. Just like he loved and accepted Zacchaeus, he loves and accepts you. Just the way you are. You don't have to put on any false face. You don't have to put on any facade. Just the way you are. And he loved Zacchaeus just the way he was. And he felt that, and something happened inside of him. There was a shift inside of him. He got to his feet and he made that announcement. There was something happening, and he shifted from someone who wanted to get to someone who wanted to give. What did Jesus say? Jesus ended by saying, "Salvation has come to this home today, for this man has shown himself to be a true son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save those who are lost." And that was the whole emphasis of Jesus coming, and he wanted to prove that to everyone. So with Zacchaeus, before he was full of fear and dread, and now he's full of love and hope and faith, peace. He was filled with generosity. He wanted to bless others by giving. But one thing that occurred to me is that Zacchaeus needed a giver for him to make that shift, for him to be able to make that shift. He needed someone to help him to shift from the mentality of receiving to the attitude of giving. And of course, that person was Jesus. And that person, Jesus, can do that for us as well, right now. Jesus can help us to have our attitudes and our desires changed from wanting to get all the time, wanting to receive, to one of giving, of being generous. Jesus gave Zacchaeus the power to change, and he can give us the power to change this morning. It is more blessed to give than to receive. Why is giving more blessed? Because by doing this, we're showing the very nature of Jesus, the very nature of God. God's nature is to give. We heard that this morning. God gave us Jesus. Jesus came, and his whole life was about giving. About giving. He gave his time, he gave his energy, he gave his resources, he gave his own life And get this, this just really thrills me. When Jesus was resurrected and went back to heaven, he still gave, because he gave us the Holy Spirit. It's just in his nature to give. And if we desire to be more like Jesus, if we desire to have the same nature as him, then that is a nature of giving. A nature of giving. And I just get so thrilled right here in this church that there's such an attitude of giving. You know, the serving that goes on here, I think Pip mentioned it before. People that you don't even know about behind the scenes are doing things. You know, there's people running life groups, there's people organising things, there's people weeding the gardens, mowing the lawns, doing repairs on the building, setting up lighting and sound, things that you don't even know about. Some things I don't even know about. They're just happening. People are serving. And then on Sunday we see heaps of people just serving out of a heart of generosity, of giving. And that just thrills me. It's just wonderful. And we've got people giving out of their resources. You know, John mentioned someone gave $50 for that project, just walking in. You know, generous hearts, giving out of their resources. To see the vision of this church, to see people encounter the life-giving change that comes through Jesus Christ, encountering Jesus for themselves. And that's what we're all about here. And I just get so thrilled to be part of this church, this place. So what about us? What about you and me? Are we going to take that step today that Zacchaeus took? Are we going to say, yes, look, I want to shift. I want to make a shift there. Even if you've been walking, even if you've been a follower of Jesus for a long time, can you press into a new level? Can you go to a new level? Can you say, yeah, I want to be more of a giver. I want to be more generous. Can we all say something like that? That I want to have that attitude that Zacchaeus had. Maybe I need to change radically like him, or maybe I just need to make a bit of a shift. But can we make that commitment to do that? Because that's what he did, and that's what I love about Zacchaeus. He felt it inside, he thought about it, and he stood up and he did something about it. And that is great. Will you do something about it? Will you be determined enough like he was to climb that tree to do something about it? You know, will you not just think about it? Will you not just go away and say, okay, it's something to think about? No, I'm going to do it. Will you think about doing something right now? Hey, so let's talk to God. Let's pray and just consider some of these things. Father, I just get so thrilled. I mean, I guess I'm not portraying my how thrilled I am of how generous you are. I just, if we stop and think about that, it is just incredible how generous you are. The fact that we are being created in your own image, that we're here today, living this beautiful land, but much more than that. You sent Jesus. You sent Jesus that we might have a way to come back to you, not be separated from you through sin and disobedience, but come back to you and just be with you. Yeah, just like Zacchaeus and Jesus are chatting, that we can chat with you. What a privilege. Oh, what a great thing. And when Jesus came, we saw such generosity. Such generosity. And we saw your heart. Maybe for the first time, your true colours, the true heart of God through Jesus. We saw how generous you are, how loving you are, how accepting you are. I just want to say to everyone that God loves you and accepts you. If you don't feel accepted, I want you just to let go of that non-acceptance. Let it go. Let it go. And receive the love and acceptance of Jesus right this morning. Just let him flood your soul with that acceptance and that love. It is more blessed to give than to receive. It is more blessed to give than receive. If you want us to pray for you after the service, just come up the front, maybe myself and others, MC and others, to pray for you. let's sing as we think about this some more.